meeting. Um, so last week's video from Javier was about the enabling actually the use our sorry. So how do you enable your users to actually? I'm sorry. Okay, this is not a good one. Oh, so actually, was what tools do you actually provide to your users for them to actually create value for your project? So this was the topic for the discussion that we should be having today. Did you have the chance to check out the video, the last one?
Yes.
Okay, so let me see. We have with us, we have Jenny for Wild Crowd. And we also have Fiona for okay.
Mobilize.
For Mobilize. Yeah, I'm not doing this very often, so this is why I'm babbling a lot. Sorry about that. Okay, I had some notes, but I think I wrote them on my computer, so I'm a bit unprepared. I just realized.
No, I would start with doing follow-up from the last session that we had. If we some of the questions that we asked last week, first of all, if you think they were useful, and if it made you think about something, and if we need to follow up on the questions from the last week. So, Fiona, do you want to start, if you want?
Yeah, no, I found last week very valuable, really interesting to see that we actually have shared challenges. And I actually did give a lot of thought to your question about where to start when both myself and Mids for All were saying that we have different stakeholders and we need both of them, to actually make the platform work. And you were saying, but yes, where do you start? And I had some really interesting conversations with my team after that, thinking about the fact that from the producers' side, the farmers, they are more organized. It's easier to find producers through some of the strategic partners that we actually already know or we have some kind of potential connection to. And so we were thinking that it makes more sense to go to those organizations and say to them, please can you talk us through the supply chain? So what is the value chain? What happens to the potatoes you grow? Okay, so you grow them here, then who do you give them to? And then we can meet that person that they give them to. And then we understand that that's like, it goes into storage and then it goes into distribution and then we can follow it to the end user. So we might then actually be able to find all the people that we need to connect with by using the ones that we already have as a base. So that was quite insightful for us, and we're going to explore that. And we've got 2 opportunities there within the farming community that we've now reached out to. So we're waiting for responses. But we hope that when I go to Kenya in January, I'll actually be able to meet people and then follow the production line. So that's been very valuable. Thank you.
Fantastic, I'm really happy. But then the question arises, what is the value proposition for the producers to make them enter into? Because the value proposition, if it's a market on 2 sides, but at the very beginning, the first step to get them into, do you think about that?
It's so that they can have more customers and there'll be greater demand. So basically their products are reaching one market at the moment, but we're trying to remove the barriers in between. So it might be that there's a greater market need, but they don't know that at the moment because they're so far removed from it. So once we follow through all the steps, we can say, also we may be able to, like for example, help with the bulk distribution. If there are a few farmers in the area who are all going to the same market, it might make more sense that we can then say, let's bulk all of your stock together and do one delivery, as opposed to each of you paying individual things. So our offer to them is really about efficiency and understanding the ecosystem while they still focus on producing the products that they're producing. So we won't be charging them for this. This is still exploratory, but that's what we're trying to uncover. And through that, we'll then understand where the best need is for a mobile solution.
Okay, and so understand that you're going to Kenya in January,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're thinking about doing these customer interviews before launching the mobile app.
Definitely, definitely.
And based on the customer interviews, you're going to create a mobile app.
Yeah, so I mean, we also had that debate about taking over a prototype, but realised that we don't have enough information at the moment. We're basing a lot of things on assumptions and things that I have seen, like when I was working with entrepreneurs in South Africa, I saw some of the challenges and I can see that that would be a potential solution, but it's not necessarily the only solution, and it makes more sense to actually follow, like just to observe for a while, to be in a situation and observe all the different stakeholders and talk to them and find out from them what the real challenges are, not what my view is, my perception is. So I was kind of like told to hold back a little. We don't need to develop anything yet. You've got the opportunity to go and meet people now, spend some time there, and then we can always go back afterwards once we've had some time to really think about what the challenges are and engage them in discussing what the potential solutions would be for those challenges too.
Fantastic, that's great. That's a very lean approach. Yeah. Jenny, do you want to share your key insights?
Yes, it was very fruitful last time, especially the strategic partnership discussion we had, which, as I told you last time, we had excluded it, thinking that it would be very rare to be trusted by other partners that are already established in their fields. But the fact that you also had the same, let's say, challenge, and you insisted, you didn't think of it as a great obstacle, and you insisted, that gave to us some doubts about this mentality we had already about approaching these established partners. We didn't have the chance to discuss with the whole team, as one of our team right now is for business, their own private business in Hong Kong. So we're waiting when we meet all together and discuss and refresh our point of view, and check out, after they see, of course, our discussion, because I provided with a live link, which is very useful. After they watch our discussion, to rediscuss and reprofile our point of view on trying to approach certain strategic partners. And this, of course, will change the whole minimum viable product that we have in mind, if, of course, we achieve the same way you achieved any kind of partnership. Maybe we can suggest a partnership with Babel if we finally include training of social entrepreneurship in the first phase, which is now in the second phase because of all these difficulties of development. If we can add the training aspect in the first phase by adding strategic partners, we can also suggest a partnership to Babel, which is very nice. I saw it. The renovation of the site is really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very kind. Yeah, we can think about the partnership as well. You know, it's very a logical partnership, crowdsourcing and crowdfunding anyhow. And you know, when projects get online in such kind of platforms, they are going to look for funding as well. And we are not going to propose any funding. So, yeah,
And our organizations will need a business plan in case they want to find a new way of their revenues apart from just crowdfunding projects. If this idea is welcome by them, that they proceed to generate a startup, a social enterprise startup, and via this startup generate income for their animal welfare issues, and at the same time address a social problem. That's two birds with one stone, but it's not animal welfare proverb.
Fantastic.
Okay, so yeah, I found my notes. Okay, so maybe we should move to this week's subject now that we've been going through the last week's topics. And let's see what each of us can actually, what resource can each of us provide actually to our partners, so that they can generate value. Maybe we should, I don't know. I can tell you my notes from what I've seen. Maybe you can add them somewhere to what I wrote here. So for Mobilize, for example. I know that you mentioned that you are going to offer your users a tool. Exactly. So the platform would be the tool that you will be offering your users. How do you think this can create value for them?
So because we have different users on the platform as well, there's different value that each one of them gets from it. So as I was explaining earlier, I think for the producers at the end, it's about helping get their products to the end user in an efficient manner, and helping them to also use the infrastructure that's already available, and to borrow that from each other. So really it's about enabling them to be more efficient in their business and the way that they produce their food at the moment, and the way that they do their distribution of their food, of their products. From a user perspective, it's also about helping them to realize what is also close by. So I found it quite interesting seeing that example that they used of the food assemblies. It was really, really interesting because it's very similar to our model, but obviously.
Yeah, did you know food assembly before or not?
One of the team members did. So Alex is actually from France originally, and so he was one of the people who he's been to go and pick up his ingredients from one of those assemblies before. And we're chatting on Tuesday. We're actually going to see each other because he lives in Stockholm now. So we were aware of the business model when we were first talking about Mobilize, but we didn't really examine it, in depth. And it was really funny that it's kind of come around again, and we realised that we actually, there's a lot of things to learn, and that we can work on from that. So we really like the idea because they have a host who looks after the actual, the environment, and we had someone that we were going to put in a market. Like we had a person who was going to kind of batch all of the orders together. So if lots of people were asking for tomatoes or potatoes, then what they would do is they would batch them all together and then negotiate a really good price with the farmer, which they would get better than anyone would get if they were just asking for their smaller units. And so it's really interesting to see that what we had seen as sort of a coordinator and distributor, they had seen as, or they see and they use as a host. And so they've got a really interesting business model where they actually, part of the revenues that are generated within that environment go towards supporting that host, which is really fantastic, which is rather than being an overhead for us, which it would have been as it was in our model, it turns out that they are incentivized to make sure that enough people are coming, because that actually affects how much they make. So it was really interesting to see those things, and that again creates a business for that person on our platform that they wouldn't have normally. So they have that job. And then obviously the other side is the drivers. So the drivers are people who have idle vehicles at the moment, and they are able to use our platform to find ways to, to deliver goods and then make money.
So for me, the drivers is what Gabriela writes in enabling others to do business upon your business.
Yeah.
So that's one of the models I think that I really see there.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry for interrupting you. Please
No,
go on.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I would go more into the food assembly example, because indeed I think you can do very nice parallels on their business model and the differences, because they are playing a little. They also have an online app, I think, if I'm not wrong. It's not only physical distributions of the basket with the fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it. I didn't come across the app, but I was mainly looking at the business model and seeing what the services were from either side and seeing what the benefits were. But maybe I need to look into it and see what other channels and things they're using, because the way I see it evolving as well with our model is that we can do it two ways. So we can do it a simple way of using geolocation to be able to say that these people here who want tomatoes, and there are people just across in the next road who are selling them, and that enables them just to know who's closest, and they can walk and they can make it happen themselves. They don't need the delivery driver to get involved in that transaction. That's pretty simple to do. But if it's a farmer who is also on the platform, then they have the opportunity to say that they can get it for a better price than the person who's closer. So you can then make the decision: I can get it right now for this unit price, or if I wait and I can get it bulk buy, with some other people, and I can get it delivered to me at another unit price. It actually makes the model work quite nicely. It's then flexible depending on the needs of that particular user.
Can I challenge you with something?
Of course.
The whole question and how I imagine Mobilize is for it to be in the developing countries, if I understood correctly.
Yes.
And then I think it's the same question that appeared for Meds for All. It's the question of connectivity and smartphones. And I know it's developing very much in Africa, but if I understood correctly, it's not smartphones. They are using a lot SMS more than internet applications.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to go there and to see at what level we are. We're going to be starting in Nairobi, which is a really interesting and dynamic market as well. So, as Gabriela was saying before, that I think Ideas for Change were involved in M-Pesa, which is the payment system, which is why we're also interested, particularly in Kenya, because it means that the people are already used to making mobile payments, so we're not actually having to change behaviour. It's something that they're confident with and they're comfortable with. So to do those sort of transactions as well, we want to see what capability on their phones at the moment. But the really interesting thing is that there are a lot of people who are making smartphones available in those markets, and that market's going to grow. So at the moment, the market might be quite small. So there will be a certain amount of entrepreneurs and farmers who do have the phone capability at the moment. But from a internet connectivity perspective, we've got loads of organisations like internet.org and government initiatives with Kenya's got superhighways. A lot of those sort of things are going on from an infrastructure perspective, so we don't need to worry about that. And we also have a lot of handset manufacturers coming from China who are making smartphones much more affordable than they were in the past. So that market is going to grow, and and as it grows, we will be ready for it. But we will start working with the ones who already have those and who are slightly more ahead of the curve, which are the ones that are in Nairobi at the moment, close to the centre.
May I ask something?
Yeah.
So is it an application that you're going to develop? Because I was under the impression that it's going to be a platform, an internet platform.
So it will be mobile-based. So mobile first. But that is to be decided when we go there and we see what the market needs and how they operate and what they're using. So it could be a simple SMS system that evolves into something more advanced in the future, and it will probably start off as a USSD thing when we're just testing the concept, because it's then easy to just see who's ordering and if we're working with a few people, we don't need to have all of the sophisticated geolocation built in. But as we develop it, that's the point is at the end that it becomes smart and it's managed on its own. But while we're testing the base, we can do something on a less technical scale. But then once we understand it, we will then build what's right for that market, be it a platform or be it an app or whatever's relevant.
So you haven't researched about the cost of the development of either an app or a platform yet, as it is in the second or third phase, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I do know that we want to use local developers. So I'm in contact with, I will be in contact with the hubs in Nairobi. I think it's important that it's an African solution, and so the tech should be managed there. So when I go over there and once we've started to have those conversations, we will then be led by someone. I'm hoping to find someone technical there who will be able to manage the development of whatever the product is.
Well, I'm asking because we are now on the phase of researching. We are planning, of course, an internet platform to build, and the cost is really high. That's why I wanted to see if you have also searched and if you have any ideas about the cost of, if of course it was a platform.
Yeah.
The cost of building a platform is quite high. This is what we saw.
I can confirm we are suffering a lot around that. Yeah, and this is why I would definitely recommend to use already existing tools before developing something from zero.
Yeah,
we initially developed something from zero the first, now the second time as well. So we this new version is completely from scratch, built each and every line of code again. And yeah, it's very expensive. So the first version of Babele, it only costed 6,000 euros, and I'm really surprised how we managed to do this. I think.
Yeah, I am too. Yes.
But then we developed it over and over again, and it was a puzzle. It became a puzzle. So it was like a Torre di Babele. You know, the name was very good because it was very improvised. And I think in the meantime also the prices of development have become much higher in the past 3 years. I see it already in the market in Romania when I'm talking with developers now, and 3 years ago it's not the same prices.
Yeah.
So yeah, but to come back to Mobilize, there is one question, and I'm going to search for a link for this. I think you should get in touch with Orange, the telecom company, because they are very much into development in Africa and mobile solutions. And they already have incubators in Africa to support startups, tech startups in this field. I can give you some context if you want to. And I think that would be very useful, because I see more and more, especially if it's a mobile app, it might be of interest. I know they have at least 4 incubators among Africa. I don't know if in Nairobi. I'm going to check. But anyhow, I'm going to give you the contacts.
Brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's very important. The cost of the development of either an app or a platform is very important for everything that we discuss right now, because the ideas come cheap.
Yeah.
We can have thousands of ideas of enabling, empowering users, of connecting, collecting, and everything. But all these are translated into euros, into cost, expenses for developing all these ideas. And the more the ideas, the more complicated the platform is, of course, the more expensive the development will be. So it's very much important.
But Jenny, have you looked at any of the existing white-labeled crowdfunding platforms?
Yeah, we have. And again, we believe that, I'm not an expert on this, okay, thank God we have two experts in our team, and their conclusion was that the difference is minimal between
in price.
In price, yes, in the cost, yes.
Wow. Okay.
It was the last conclusion.
The difference is minimum between what? I didn't understand.
A white label. There are some free market, some free crowdfunding platforms to be used, if you wish. So, taking into account that we should differentiate a little bit, so we should add some more characteristics to the white label. The outcome, the total cost, either by using a white label or producing from scratch something, the difference is very minimal. This is what our experts said.
So if you were to do it in stages and you started just to test the concept and gain some traction, and you just used the free crowdfunding model, and then you could, like Babele, like continue to evolve once you get the traction and you start to get revenue, and you can.
You mean for the minimum viable product, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think this is what they were discussing about, our experts, about using it for the minimum viable product and then expanding. But again, I think that they came to this conclusion that even the minimum viable product will cost almost the same. I'm not an expert on this.
Neither am I. I do the assumption.
I just follow the discussion. I'm trying to follow the discussion as much as I can. I'm hearing about the languages, the programming languages, Ruby on Rails, and all these things.
Yes.
But it's all Greek to me.
Jenny, I have shared the link on Google. I don't know if you can see the group chat and the link there. But it's a question on Quora. Is there an open source crowdfunding platform? Open source so that you can use the code and then build upon that. And there are some solutions mentioned in this question, so maybe you can explore one of them. I thought there is a Spanish crowdfunding platform. I don't know if I spoke already about it last time, Goteo. And they are promoting all open source projects, and I think Goteo is also open source. Goteo.org, and they are created by a foundation, the Goteo Foundation, and they are very much into supporting common good projects. We really like them. They are, and it might be that they are open source as well, and they have very cool features as well inside the platform, like
I see. It's also in the link that you have sent me, Goteo.
Yeah, so then it means that maybe it's open source. I think, if you can send it to the technical guys in your team to explore if there are acceptable solutions, it could be useful.
Yes, because this week one of our team is having a meeting with a developer to take one quote, but again from building it from scratch, which is very fundamental about how we will move on and what else we can add.
Okay, are there other challenges that you might have? And I don't know, by discussing, maybe there are ideas coming about finding solutions, or, one of the things that I really realized talking with projects in Babele is that defining the challenge is a challenge in itself, and once it's well defined, it's much easier to find solutions and finding the right person that could help you with the definition of the challenge. And if you don't have any in mind, I would give this like a thing to think about for next week.
Now, right now we have this challenge, the development and the cost of the development. In the beginning, of course, we were worried about the attraction, if organizations and universities would be attracted, or they are okay with the already existing platforms. We had very positive feedback from surveys, internet surveys, and personal surveys that we had. Our teams and different organizations in Canada, in United Kingdom, in Greece by me, and both organizations and universities are very keen on using it when, of course, we started. So after phasing out this challenge and, of course, getting strength from this, then the second was the cost of the development. This is huge because our technicians, as I said, did not opt for the white label. I don't know the reasons exactly to explain to you analytically. So the other option was to go and try to find another developer. And so far we have discussed with some of them, and now we are expecting the cost and of course how long. This is the second challenge, how long it's going to take to be built.
Jenny, how are you going to be funding it?
By praying. No, okay, just kidding. Okay. This is yes, this is another challenge after that, after we find out the cost, because it's not so innovative, first of all, and there is a crowdfunding industry. Okay, it's in its birth, but it already exists. And another problem that we have is that some people do not consider animals as a social issue, although we disagree on that. We think that they are in our society, we cohabit, and this is a social issue too. So I think that that would be a challenge that we will face, although we don't believe in it in the future, that animals are second priority, let's say. Humans are the first. However, by trying to marry the social human problems, as we said, by creating a social startup as an organization, an animal welfare organization, having a social startup that addresses a human social problem and having the revenues for generating my animal welfare project, then I marry, let's say, the two problems. Should I be more clear on that?
No.
It's okay. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to marry these two problems.
Yeah.
But I have an animal welfare organization, and I have tried to do it. For example, here in Greece now, with the financial crisis we have great unemployment. Great unemployment. There are no jobs. So we decided that we train an unemployed person to foster a stray animal at home. And we gather 10, 30 people, and we give €5 per month, €2 per month. We generate an income of €150 per month for this unemployed person to foster a stray dog or a stray cat at home. So we help both. We help the cat or the dog, the stray dog, and we help also the unemployed person to have an income. So we try to marry these problems, humans and animals problems, in order to overcome this challenge of having this point of view that animals come second.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. I think the objective is very noble, and I think it's really good. Where I agree with Fiona, I think it takes a lot of development costs, what you were discussing about, and in order to start to be viable, you need to reach a critical mass of I don't know how many people that participate in crowdfunding platforms. So it takes a lot of initial time and dedication and capacity of the founding team to survive for some time before being able to make revenues. I'm talking again from the experience with Babele. So we don't have any investors. We didn't want to have, because we want to be very focused on the social impact, and we are very afraid of having investors that then want to have some financial return. And it's also, so what we did on our own is, Emanuele, the other co-founder of Babele, was living in Paris, me as well. We left and we came to Romania to keep the costs lower and to have time. And now we invested about 40,000 euros in the company, and our money is starting to dry out. We have some clients. Our clients are corporations or universities that take white labeled version of the platform, or private communities. If they are open communities like Copenhagen Business School, it's for free. So we really try to be as much focused on the mission. And I can say it's super stressful. Raluca, close to me, sees me every day. I'm like losing my hair and my energy, and because you feel that the money is going away and that you're starting. So, and it took us more than 2 years. It's to be able to stand on our own, and we might probably become self-sustainable, I hope, by January, but we are not sure.
Okay. So, and that's through the white labeling?
Yeah, wow. But we will see. But it's just when you think about this, you need to make plans and think that it might take 2 to 3 years before having revenues. And it's and if not, be included in the strategy. So what do we do and how do we go step by step about it? Because it's you need to, otherwise you do it for 3 or 4 months and then it's going to die. And it's a pity, especially because it's such a noble mission, you know. So I think the homework after the discussion of today is really think about, okay, if the MVP costs so much, because it's not only the cost of the development, it's also the cost of you working full-time on it and not being paid. And that's something that usually entrepreneurs forget about it. And we were discussing about it in San Francisco with all the social entrepreneurs that were there, and there were like people from accelerators and challenging us and saying, how many entrepreneurs among you include in your financial planning your own revenue? You know, we don't pay ourselves revenue, and we don't include it to keep the cost as low as possible. But how long can you do that? Survive like this?
I have an animal welfare organization, so I know how it's these things. Yes, we are not paid for anything we do.
And I'm saying not only because of not being able to, if you're not paid and you're dedicating all your time and energy for this project, either your mental health is going down, either your physical health is going down, you know.
Yeah,
So
the
these are
second.
unfortunately important factors to take into account from the very beginning and include them. So, okay, it's not only the cost of development. And if the cost of development is so high, what do I do and how do I survive in these 2 years before the project is financially viable?
Viable.
And again, for example, for us, it was a small source of revenue, but being able to offer workshops on collaborative business modeling has been great. And at the beginning, we charged. It was ridiculous. The first ones were for free. Then the second ones were like $5 per person. Then it increased, it increased. We always wanted to keep it as low as possible because the vision was to enable each and every entrepreneur to be able to take part at the workshops. But yeah, it increased, and now Manu is being able to be invited as a speaker and be paid also hotel and transportation and all that stuff. So it's also your expertise that grows with time, and also the prices that you can charge. And it was not much, but it helped us survive as well. So think about these small things that you can do beside your actual platform that supports the activity of the platform and can be an alternative source of revenue while you're growing.
The training aspect that we have thought of, yes, and we will try to add. We also have thought to add. I am very much experienced in Erasmus Plus. Erasmus Plus is a European funded program that also promotes volunteerism, and this is another possible revenue. The third aspect, the volunteering aspect that can be funded by Europe. This way, the hosting organization is benefited, the sending organization is benefited as well. So, if we try to use these Erasmus Plus programs, we will have another revenue from that too. But this is something that you should also think about. I don't know if you are aware of the Erasmus Plus.
I've heard about Erasmus Plus. I didn't go so much into details on models. We have applied to other European funds, but there again, I'm waiting for some answers, and I'm like, please, please, but. That's another discussion that we also have currently in the team, and maybe Raluca can say it's that we cannot. We try to see it as a positive, thing if it happens, but you cannot build your business model on the European funds. There is one instrument, for example, called SME instrument from European funds. I applied 4 times and I was rejected, So,
look, it's not very easy to write a proposal. It's very difficult. It took me 2 years to learn how to write a proposal and be approved. There is no training. They don't provide training. Probably they believe that you are born with a talent. I don't know how they do it. Writing a proposal and being approved needs a lot of skills. Now I'm quite experienced in writing some proposals, not all of them, because there are different European funding programs, but at least for Erasmus, for volunteers, for mobility, for work placements, for job shadowing, for all these things, I'm quite experienced, and for strategic
Fantastic.
partnership.
It's
Yes.
great to know that.
Yes. Right now we are having 2 mobilities in my school for 30 students to go to Seville and have work placements and training. 40 teachers from my district to go again to Seville for training. And we have a strategic partnership program with 7 countries to build a certificate for maritime English. So there are a lot of funding opportunities. In case you have to write a very well-founded, well-grounded proposal if you want to be approved, or else it's going to be rejected for sure. But it's very good to try to find the right program that can fund you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Okay, so we only have some minutes left. What I'm going to do, so afterwards, I'm going to send to Fiona the contact of Orange and the incubators and all that stuff.
Okay.
And to Jenny, I'm going to search more about open source crowdfunding platforms to see if we can keep the costs of development lower, if not zero. Yeah, and yeah, if you have other challenges and things, just post them in Babele. I hope the platform works better now also for the questions to the community.
Yes, that's
And what next? Yeah, we can talk next week.
yeah.
Yes. I don't think we'll have a new video. I think these were all the videos. I'm not
No, there is
100% sure.
another, for the Pentagrowth model, so there is another axis that needs to be explained.
Yes.
Plus, there are 3 models that I find very interesting based on these axes. What you want to combine and how in order to reach exponential growth. So if you want, I don't remember them, but if you combine the network with the enable and all different axes. So I don't know if they have special videos for it or if they are going to explain it in the physical workshop. The physical, in the workshop, the online workshop that they are organizing, but they are very interesting, and I think conceptually they are interesting. So when I heard about the model and I applied it for Babele and where Babele currently is and where you want to get, and you realize on which axis you need to work more in order to reach that exponential growth. But I'm waiting for them to publish the videos before starting to discuss on this, because it's their core expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are waiting for them to send us the resources and see what's the next.
Okay. So we're waiting for another invitation for
Yeah.
next week.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you very much for your time to join us.
It was very
And
valuable.
excellent. I'm happy.
Thank you.
And feel free to go around the new platform and tell us what you think about it.
Yeah.
Really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.